da smo svjesni problema i da kad postanete nečeg svjesni, onda ga možete rješavati. Ne možete naravno riješiti problem ako ne znate da ga imate. Znači, što se tiče osobne transformacije u kontekstu klimatskih promjena, svi mi moramo djelovati prvo na svojoj razini individualno, onda naravno i na svoju okolinu, na sustave u kojima proizvodimo i na taj način naravno imamo i nekakav globalni efekt. Naš kolega iz Norveške, u principu eminentni profesor koji nam dolazi sa University of Osijek u Norveškoj, sa Zavoda za u principu, da prevodimo doslovno ili nemamo hrvatski prijevod naravno, ali znači sa Zavoda za međunarodnu suradnju koja je orijentirana na zaštitu okoliša i sva pitanja vezana uz okoliš i uz edukaciju. Kolega je profesor, ima više od 30 godina iskustva, djeluje na međunarodnoj razini, evo samo pogledajte moje projekte, znači i u Aziji, i u Africi, i Zapadnom Balkanu nešto je bilo znači, uključeno i naših profesora i našeg fakulteta u prethodnom razdoblju. Opet očekujemo i dalje suradnje u sljedećim razdobljima. Ukoliko pogledajte broj znanstvenih radova, znači objavio 265 znanstvenih radova, realno gledano vrlo značajan broj radova. Osim toga, sudjelovao je na više univerzitetskih projekata, te je bio mentor 25 dizertacija. Svi oni koji su mentori doktoranata, ja moram priznati, ja ih trenutno imam 7, jako velik posao, jako puno rada i truda. 25 doktoranata, stvarno izuzetno visoka brojka i hvale vrijedna. Što se tiče tema kojima se bavi, prije svega na edukaciji po pitanju klimatskih promjena, uopće promjena u svijetu i adaptacije na iste. Prije svega ono nužno je transformacija svijesti, svjesnost što se oko nas događa i naravno ta svjesnost će nam omogućiti da efikasno i djelujemo rješavanje svih problema. Now, Professor Bishal, I will welcome you. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Vesna, for your very kind and very generous introduction. It is always a big honor and pleasure for me to come to Balkan again, Western Balkan. And I am extremely happy that again, 10 years down the line, I am back to this university. And I am also very happy to see that some of the students that we have supported in their doctoral degree like Ranko, they become the full professor. So this, let's give him a very big applause. So, respected Assistant Minister, His Excellency Draco Baraj, and all protocol observed. It will be always nice to share my story. As you can see that I don't look like Norwegian, so I must come from somewhere. I'm originally native of Nepal, Himalaya, and living in Norway for the last 36 years. So today, thank you. I will share some of my autoethnographical reflection around and about wisdom-based, low-input agriculture, and why we need inner transformation or personal transformation, which is the key focus of this project in this rapidly changing climate. Working, I myself is trained as a very hardcore scientist. I'll come back to that, to my story. Gradually we recognize that the climate change problem is not just a technical problem of temperature change and you use many linear and non-linear model to predict anything. But it is a issue of human relationship with nature and everything else. And therefore, I will give you, let me take you where I was born. This is the artistic presentation of the place where I was born in Nepal. In the background, Kanchenjunga, the third highest mountain in the world, more than 8,000 meters. And my father, I'm son of a farmer. My father was a smallholder farmer and using the lowest input, this outside input to agriculture and mostly growing in the present day vocabulary, organic small farm. But my father has a dream that, one day my son will be a big scientist, so let me send him to school. What happened in the school? You see, this is my photo when I was a little boy. I had to learn science and many other things. This chicken was introduced in Nepal. I never saw this chicken, but we had to memorize the name. Leghorn, New Hampshire, Plymouth Rock, this and that. And also when I went to India for 5 years to study soil science, there was no description about the local soil type. Long, you saw, some of you are soil scientists. How long are this American system of soil classification, Canadian system? So I was disconnected from the reality, and that education was context deficient for me. So let me take you as the story that Vaishnav was trying to build, that agriculture was begun around 10 to 12,000 years ago, and in order to make a case about wisdom-based agriculture and what I have seen in Croatia, let me take you 10,000 years back. Literature says that it is the women who are more concerned about growing plant. Men were busy in fighting with the other tribe and this and that. But woman has to feed the children, so she was the creative power. She was sowing, but this animal were picking up those grain. And then the planting stick was developed, again 10 to 12,000 years ago, to cover the seed. So the first mechanical manipulation of soil began. And around 6 to 8,000 years ago, this kind of hand tools was developed to eradicate the weeds. But today in Africa, in South Asia, we still use this one. And then you see this farmer, we have a project, Norwegian project in Malawi. I have taken this photo in 2022. They are still using the same. And around 4 to 6,000 years back, this kind of plow is described in the scripture in Indo-Gangetic plain, that the description of plow came into the religious kind of ceremony and so on. And then in Europe, already in 15th to 19th century, this kind of plow was in use. They were using horse, right? And then development is development, so-called industrialization. Then this tractor came in 1910. And then in the name of mechanized agriculture, everywhere in North America, in Europe, they are using this tractor for agricultural purposes. And then over a period of time, what is the harmful effect of tractor use in agriculture? Although in terms of yield per hectare, you can increase the yield, you can cover larger area, but when a European Union funded project, we found that this tractor used for different agricultural purpose is negatively affecting the biochemistry of global change by increasing nitrous oxide emission and decreasing methane absorption, both disadvantage in terms of climate change. And we have published this in a very good journal about methane, how it is affected by tractor traffic and also nitrous oxide, and summary is like this. When you use tractor, definitely nitrous oxide, third most important greenhouse gas with a long atmospheric residence time, increase almost 6 times in combination with fertilizer. And even if you don't fertilizer, definitely the tractor traffic also increase nitrous oxide emission because of increasing in this microsite where the denitrification takes place. So now, that time I was a PhD student in 1993, 1994, and I asked my professor last Bakken, what is the way out? Look, if we use tractor, we have to use tractor in agriculture, but there is a problem. He was telling Bishal, maybe we have to use some robotic horse. We have to go back with new innovation, but he was joking with me. So when I came to Croatia this time, I found that they are rediscovering a low input agriculture and horse power farming in this Osijek, Croatia. It's a good news for me that at least in developed country like Croatia, they are discovering their wisdom-based agriculture, traditional agriculture, which we have to examine. Still research is ongoing, and Professor Ranko is still collecting data about all different dimensions, about economic viability and other benefit of this. But we have to see agriculture from not only the food production, but total well-being perspective. And this is the cedar sitting, the maize. I was so happy to be in that farm, and this is the reversible plow that we have seen in 19th century, 15th to 19th century, which was harmless in terms of compaction effect and dramatic increase in nitrous oxide emission. And then horse. My professor said robotic horse. But today in agriculture, wherever people are undergoing some kind of disorienting dilemma, problem, so many kind of emotional problem. And in the West already, here, there are equine therapy. When the horse is in the farm, it is not just for horsepower or plowing, also to give an emotional benefit to human being. And there are a number of published work about the equine therapy. That farmer can also be like that. So, we professor, myself, is occupied, our attention is just look at this hockey stick curve, this great acceleration dashboard, all this, teaching student the mechanism of this curve, behavior of this curve, this and that and that and that. How long you want to describe the mechanism of a disease? Because mechanism of disease is not source of disease. And therefore, we have to think no matter what they say, my reflection is that what are the options in agriculture that is low input, climate positive, and contribute to health and well-being? If you look at the health and well-being, then it is not idiot things to talk about low input, wisdom-based agriculture, total benefit to human being. And therefore, Thomas Jefferson says, agriculture is our wisest pursuit because it will, in the end, contribute most to the real wealth, good morals, and happiness. If you find clue to how to get that one from agriculture, this low input, wisdom-based agriculture is something novel. So, what is wisdom-based low input agriculture? Wisdom-based agriculture is the context responsive that is evolved in thousands of years from the same place. Low input, like in that horse-driven plow, you don't have to think about, oh, war is going on, the oil prices will go, so tractor operation will be very expensive. You don't need to think about that. And also, it contributes to the well-being of a larger society from strong cultural and wisdom base. This is something novel, transforming. But if you look at the literature today, with very many different names like traditional farming, peasant agriculture, biological agriculture, agrarianism, conscious agriculture, organic farming, all these different names, holistic farming, sustainable farming, biodynamic farming, permaculture, and so on. And even today, mindful agriculture, Institute of Mindful Agriculture is. So, what kind of agriculture that contributes to quality food, that respected minister was talking about, also well-being, also psychological resilience, and also personal transformation. So, in the United States, there is something called Institute for Mindful Agriculture. Okay, what kind of agriculture grows nature, health, and society, and they are doing quite a bit of work there. The most important thing there is that instead of all the time measuring the benefit of farming in terms of yield per hectare, what about well-being per hectare and also health per hectare? If you use this parameter, there is a very great scope for wisdom-based agriculture. Okay, and therefore in Africa, in Malawi, we have been promoting project on indigenous knowledge because that is what was lacking, that is very essential for food security. And also, it's because we are running out of time. All these IPCC reports, they are not alarmist, they are realist. More than 8,000 scientists from around the world, even 10,000 in last IPCC report. They say that it will require far-reaching, unprecedented change in all aspects of society. And IPCC 2022 says that change in hazard landscapes are reported to contribute to the loss of peace of mind and loss of well-being. Look what happens to farmer in India. When the crop falls down, the farmer suicide rate goes up. Do you know that? Farmer suicide in India. And therefore, they were promoting other kind of agriculture. Okay? Also, spirituality and religion has also a role to play today in order to cultivate psychological resilience. And therefore today spiritual resilience is rapidly changing. When there is a loss of peace of mind, these people in Iran, they are also developing this kind of handbook and spiritual resilience is ability to maintain a sturdy positive spirit and clear sense of purpose and meaning even in the face of suffering. This may be relevant to many people around the world that I was working, in Africa, South Asia, and so on. For example, in Africa, in Malawi, in Mozambique, in Tanzania, they are promoting something called farming in God way. It's a type of conservation agriculture that reinterprets the conservation agriculture with the principle of no-tillage, mulching, and crop rotation, using biblical metaphor such as God doesn't plow, God's blanket, and Garden of Eden. And these farmers, I have seen them, when they pray before do every operation, they bring also their ancestor and their blessing in the present moment awareness. And what kind of psychological benefit they get when they do the thing in such way. It has not come to the curricula yet, because, and also every state, but when you look at the trial they have done there, how the farming in God way has a significantly good health compared to this traditional farming that you can see. But remember that this has another disadvantage me as a scientist. It is also contested because it has the well-being benefit, it has also this benefit, but it is putting more workload to the women farmer in Africa. That also another things in that this paper talks about. Okay. Also, regenerative organic agriculture program. This is in India, they are promoting. This is also low input farming. And also in India, because of the farmer suicide and so on, they have brought some kind of yogic meditation in the field. And they call it sustainable yogic agriculture. And there is a science that they describe that how the intention of farmer will be resonate with the plant and something that we are not familiar. And there is a published work around it in a refereed journal about yogic farming. This farmer resonate when he perform meditation with the plant. Plant has something called plant cognition, plant contagion of this intention. And then there is a subtle science. You have to go down to the quantum entanglement, how this intention of the farmer resonate with the crop. And then there has been a published work. This is just a kind of with and without me. This is just for awareness. And if you don't want to believe me, read this book written by the neuroscientists about incredible journey of plants. How plants also feel their response to the human intention and human emotion. That way, it is not only good production for them in Indian context, also it contributes to their psychological resilience and well-being. In the United States, I did my sabbatical. This is from Ohio State University. There is something called horticulture therapy garden, and I am sure that you also teach it here, horticulture therapy garden. So there is number way, because for climate change also, we have to bring some kind of health argument for climate action. This has been published around, and in the last COP26 meeting, they brought the root of the plant. The plant and our lungs are intimately connected. If the plant do not breathe, we are not able to breathe. If they don't provide oxygen, we cannot breathe, and we provide the carbon dioxide, so we co-create. So I like this first time the artistic presentation when more than 200 head of the state and esteemed scientists were gathering that time. Also in this health pavilion, they say that climate change, when it comes to health, all this forest fire, frequency of extreme event, and also some of the answers like in the agroforestry, because when the forest is getting burned down, at least you can have a buffer kind of promoting agroforestry in some kind of system here. So we have been teaching and teaching and teaching this thing. We are set to pass 1.5 degrees threshold by 2040. Not long, we will still be alive, and we are close to reaching irreversible tipping point. So just looking for some kind of science, some kind of, this linear science is not really enough. Again, this is my reflection. As I say, I was a hardcore scientist. This is my picture in 1989 when I was taking my PhD in Norway, and we are measuring 3 important greenhouse gas: nitrogen oxide, methane, and carbon dioxide with simple one single injection of gas. We developed that one in Norway that time, and we became popular, okay? And then we measure greenhouse gases, but now there is a change in technology since I took my PhD in 1993. We don't use this kind of manual system anymore. What we do is a very sophisticated robot. This is what our postdoc and our PhD student are using, there is a kind of system there which analyzes all 3 important gases. It's a robot, it goes to the field and sends us data. And so my point here is that there is a transformative change in the technology when it comes to measurement of greenhouse gases to understand the mechanism of problem. But are we able to bend any of this curve? No. Every year record high. So what is the advantage of transformative change in technology to understand the mechanism of problem? And this climate change is bringing a lot of cycle problem with the resilience of farmer, of everybody, and therefore this is also something we are bringing now very profoundly to our research in Norway, because increasing temperature are associated with more interpersonal violence. We have done that kind of study in different populations in Africa and Asia, because when the temperature increases, it affects brain functioning and stress hormone, it brings irritability, aggression and misbehavior, and increase alcohol and drug use. Okay? So my reflection is that, thinking about the consequences of climate change in different fronts make us anxious and or depressed. So we deny it, we avoid, or we become resilient and transform. This is the choice. This is a study done by Christine Wamsler in Sweden. Now, she has been interviewing the politician, respected minister like you, and policymaker in England. And this is the outcome of result. Many politicians think that mind is also a victim of climate change, because all this, they absorb the eco-anxiety in the populations, younger population and so on. And mind also root cause, because of our consumerism, because of our, what Besana was telling about, eating too much meat and beyond the need of, So mind is also, what about me? And also mind is barrier for climate action. Look at the Donald Trump, he said that the biggest leader in the world said that, climate change is just a perceptual artifact of the scientists. It's really not happening. So when in that big policy arena, when those kind of people are there, who doesn't feel, the things doesn't move, and also vicious cycle. We have also, there are a number of studies that if the people are displaced by climate change because of the drought, flood and so on, they develop some kind of unethical behavior. They go to the nearby forest in many places and extract more wood and so on. So it's a vicious cycle that continues. So the point here is that you have to do something about mind. You see, the eco-anxiety is really growing here also in the Europe. And how do you deal with this mind? I'm very happy that even in the Croatia, in some school system, they are bringing mindfulness. Mindfulness is not only mindfulness has multiple benefit about how to put attention in the right place and how to understand my own behavior, my own assumption, own desire, all those kind of things. And this mindfulness is here for no reason, because if you look at I spent 1 year in the United States to study mindfulness and how it is relevant to climate change and personal transformation. And many very well-esteemed colleagues from University of Madison and University of Miami and many places that I was able to talk to them, and they gave. And then if you look at the publication, there was no publication almost if you go back 2000, but now it's exponentially growing, and it is coming to academia, and it is secular, it has nothing to do with any religion, and therefore how to be mindful to transform ourselves. That is the thing that may be one path. Because if you look at people with a lot of big agency power, like in the UN system, let's say what Gustave Speth used to say. He was saying that I used to think the top environmental problem were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought with 30 years of good science, we could address those problems, but I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with this, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. You see, selfishness, greed, and apathy, all these are in our mindset. And therefore, together with the University of Lund, we are working on inner transformation, which is about the inner dimension of the student, all other stakeholders, about people's mindset, including our belief, how to deal with those value, worldview, and associated inner qualities. And inner transformation for sustainability of climate action is we have to unleash our human inner potential to care of, commit to, and effect change for better life. And this, in the university, in education, we are talking about, all this about earth system science, objectivity, objects, system, and patterns, all about that. But what about the knower? Students are the knowers. Their subjective world, their own inner experience, connectedness, ethical value, aesthetics, and creativity. And therefore, in transformation, it's not enough to just deal with the events and crises, but what lies in everybody's unconscious. What is our collective and individual values, assumptions, belief, and shape. To address the problem in their source, we have to go down there. But what is happening is that my student, including myself, we are all the time occupied with the information load. Internet, Facebook, degrading media influence. And with our students now, we are becoming more and more fatty with all this mind wandering. And what this Facebook, this degrading media influence does is mind wandering. And the study shows that 46.9% our Harvard study shows that our mind wanders. You are here listening to me, but many times your mind has wandered outside this hall. That is what is mind wandering. And a wandering mind is not a happy mind. Okay? Other thing about conformity. Whoever will get a publication from a good name in US or without examining them, we just bring it to the academia. Yes, it's published in a good journal without examining. And even in a country like this is example from Malawi, every meeting, a materially poor and poor country, there is a dress code which they inherited from the colonial memory. And you need to wear this dress to go to a meeting. Can you imagine that? And we are talking about poverty alleviation, right, like that. And many other things, when I become educated in Nepal, I was judging people. I am educated and they are the farmer. And the Mother Teresa says that if you judge people, you have no time to love them. So, all in all, we need transformation. We need, it's a food, global food is a bigger issue that Norway is interested. We need transformation there. There should be, as the respected minister said, food production to food consumption. The other day when I was going to some restaurant nearby, the youngsters were throwing food like anything. And also we need transformation in agriculture, energy, institution. But all these sectors, who are there are the individual, and therefore we need personal transformation. And therefore, Karin O'Brien, in Norway, we believe that we need a practical transformation here in technology and innovation. But there should be also a political will, political support, because system and structure are orchestrated by politicians who have agency power. And all these things, after all, people engage in both practical and political sphere. It is the person, individual, and therefore we need a personal transformation. And this is what I mean by personal transformation, that powerful unleashing of human potential to commit, care, and effect change for better life. This implies a competency framework. We have to develop the skill in students for cultivating transformative quality. And personal transformation requires the cultivation and activation of transformative quality and capacity in individuals, such as awareness, connection, insight, purpose, and agency. So, respected Minister and dear colleagues, we have been developing course program around the world. I will give you some example how to create those skills in awareness about how to be in the present moment, how to be self-aware about your own assumption and so on. The connection, how compassionate you are, what kind of compassion and these things that, or you are only thinking about yourself, about the relational quality, this insight about perspective seeking and so on, and intrinsic value orientation. All these things we wanted to bring in a very science-based in our curricula, and that is my proposal here, like about awareness. There is a theory and there is a very good science. It is nothing preaching about how to cultivate attention in the present moment, self-awareness. All this literature will be used about awareness, and also the connection, the concepts such as compassion. There are very many published work in compassion, empathy, and kindness, and generosity that our students need to know. And also connection, about connection. Whenever in a difficult places in Africa, when I established connection with the people, when I was dancing with them, making a heart-to-heart connection, it was very easy for me to drive project in Africa and so on. Also insights, perspective taking, so like that. But after all, everything if you have it, but if you lack human agency, and therefore this we also teach in personal transformation, how to acquire that agency with all the courage, creativity, optimism, hope, and passion. This is what is called inner development goal that we need in addition to sustainable development goal. And this is what is coming in academia in Sweden. And because personal transformation requires cultivation of transformative quality, how to cultivate your being, thinking, relating, collaborating, and acting. And we have a lot of other things, but when we talk about the curricula, we talk about this thing, okay? About how we can cultivate all these kind of things to our students. So finally, with all this idea, we have established through Norwegian funding in a master program, one course in personal transformation in Kathmandu University in Nepal. And this is the same course with all that idea in the Runa University in Sri Lanka, and also Royal University in Bhutan, in South Asia, where I have a lot of projects still ongoing. And finally, these students, their face changes over a matter of 7 days of getting training in personal transformation. And this is the facility that we have established in Nepal with Norwegian funding. And also with success story from this university in South Asia, we have taken it to Africa in Malawi, and this is the core group for making curricula with people from university in Malawi. And with this idea, with very open heart, everything we have to look at from the right context, what kind of background you have, what kind of reality, whether it is very important or not today. We are also bringing to I was giving class in personal transformation. We use lot of playfulness, humor. It's not like a boring academic lecture. So these are one of the students here. And also deep reflection. We give them some kind of control question to deeply reflect themselves about it. Let's do a 1 minute exercise. Can you just close your eyes, all of you please, close your eyes. Just 1 minute, close your eyes. And only listen to me, just close your eyes. All of you, don't look at me, just close your eyes. Can you close your eye? Yeah. So just listen to my voice now. Imagine a world where no poverty and zero hunger exist. Here, everyone enjoys good health and well-being. Quality education has led to empower people living with gender equality. Everyone has access to clean water and sanitation. Imagine the world is powered by affordable and clean energy. Also, imagine decent work and economic growth has created sustainable society where investment in industries, innovation, and infrastructure has led to prosperity and reduce inequality. Everyone lives in sustainable cities and communities where responsible consumption and production has led to positive climate action. Life below water is thriving, so is the life on land. We all feel safe knowing that our peace and justice is governed by strong institutions. Strong and cross-sectoral partnership for the goals help us to stay committed and to evolve together. You may open your eyes now. Look at what I have said is here, okay? What are these really? What do you think these are?
That's UN proclamation.
These are word by word 17 SDGs that every country, including Croatia, assigned to, right? This is about, and for the inner transformation, you have to internalize that one. So I was so happy, Vesna, and University of Osijek, that you gave me access to talk to these students. We are all conditioned, but we see a very bright future to this student and be the change that you wish to see in the world. So thank you very much. Any question I can take one or two? Anyone have?
After the break.
Hello everyone, my name is Juan Pecas. I'm an associate at the Federal Institute of Agriculture from Sarajevo. Almost 2 years ago, I had a chance to listen to the similar presentation from Professor Bishal. I was back then at my bachelor studies. And nowadays, 10 years after that presentation, I'm looking to another world, to the world that is contributing to the SDGs and fighting some very hard battles to achieve it. Having in mind the importance of education and having in mind the importance of everything, it would be my sincerest hope to contribute with my professional knowledge with projects like this. And speaking about that, I would like to ask you, dear Professor, what do you think about the influence of the artificial intelligence, which is currently like hot topic in the world, on our fight our fight against climate change and contribution in which artificial intelligence can make to the fight against climate change.
Thank you for a very important question, but just I can say in very brief is that artificial intelligence is very effective in providing information, okay? Information has to be translated to knowledge by professor, science scholar. And it is further has to translate into wisdom. That is the transformative path. So still, the artificial intelligence will not take away everything. Thank you so much. So with this, I thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you, Bishal, for very, very interesting presentation. And sam ću na hrvatskom reći, u principu tijekom ove uvjetno rečeno meditacije smo imali zamislene